I want to walk you through the assignment that you have due on doing your ecological footprint. So first off, you will find this Word document that is basically the worksheet on Moodle, and you'll be able to turn this in on Moodle. So if you fill out the whole worksheet and do everything it says and turn it into Moodle, you'll be good for this assignment. But I just wanted to walk you through it a little bit. Basically, you're going to be calculating your own ecological footprint. And this is basically an estimate of how your lifestyle impacts the earth, how many resources you use, how waste is disposed, all the energy you use, what your personal impact on climate change is. All of these things together go into your ecological footprint. So I do want to point out, and this is stated right on the worksheet, you're not going to be graded on what your ecological footprint is. You're going to be graded on whether you do it and how thoughtful your answers are about your footprint. I don't care if your footprint is really high or really low. That's really a personal thing for you. What I want you to do is to think about these choices you make in your life and how that might impact the earth and the resources that we all use as people. So what you'll need to do is footprintcalculator.org. If you click on that link, it will bring you to this website right here. And I'll resize this so you can see me at the same time. So what you're going to do is click here, and it's going to ask you a lot of questions about your life. And you can choose to do your footprint before coronavirus, or you can do what things are like right now. It's really your own choice. But what I do want you to do is it's going to ask you all these questions. So here's the first one. How often do you eat animal-based products? And right now it's set to be occasionally. If you eat them more often, see, it'll change to often. It'll say balanced of meat and veggies, meat a few times a week, eggs and dairy almost daily. Probably a lot of you eat meat every day, so you'll be here at very often. However, on all of these, or most of them, there's going to be this link that says add details to improve accuracy. I want you to click on that every single time. So here, it's going to ask you how often do you eat beef or lamb? And then you'll go to the next one. How often do you eat pork? How often do you eat poultry? How often do you eat fish or shellfish? How often do you eat eggs, cheese, and or dairy? Once you get through that, hit save. So I want you to do these extra details on every single one, because I think they're actually really important to getting an accurate ecological footprint. So then you'll keep going, and there's more questions, and remember, every time add details and then click save. So I'll just click through. It's going to ask you about your house, your electricity. Some of these things you may have a harder time answering. So like, how energy efficient is your home? If you rent or you're in the dorms, you may not really know the answer to this. So just do the best you can. If it may not be perfect, and that's all right. And then again, you'll keep going. It's going to ask you about your trash, how you travel. It does give you the option. See, like, it's asking you about motorcycle. In the past, people have been confused. This says 3 miles a week. You can't actually get it all the way down to 0. So if you don't ever use a motorcycle, make sure you set that to 0. So you'll keep going through all of these, answering all the questions, adding all the details. And then you'll get to the results. And so it's going to tell you, if everyone lived like you, how many Earths we would need. And you'll want to write that down. So what you're going to do is you're going to do your footprint for the first time, and you're going to fill out this first column on your worksheet. And so the first thing it gives you is the number of Earths. That goes down here at the bottom of the table, and then you're going to click on See Details. And then it's going to give you different categories here. So the bottom are these numbers right here. So your total ecological footprint goes right here, and they're in global hectares or GHA. So if this was your answer, you'd put 4.6 right here. Your carbon footprint is carbon dioxide emissions in tons per year. That number would go here, and then the percentage, 52, will go here. Then you want to look at how much comes from food, shelter, mobility, etc. And how you get those numbers is just hover your mouse over each of these bars and it'll give you a number. So that's the first step. That's what you need to do for number 1, is to fill in this first column. And then what I want you to do, the directions are down here for number 2. I want you to pick 2 things you're going to change about your lifestyle. You don't have to actually change them, but I want you to go back in this calculator and make those changes so that you can see how it changes the numbers, and then you'll record them in each of these columns. I do want you to write under change 1, if you wrote, I want to go vegetarian, I want you to write vegetarian right here so that I know what your change is. And then your second change might be, I don't know, cutting how many miles you drive in your car. And that'll be here. And then I want you to do both of these changes together, and that way you can look at how those change your footprint. Now, they don't have to be changes that you're going to do, but I want you to pick things that might be feasible for you to do. Like you might pick recycling. You can recycle in Ruston, so that might be one of your changes. The easiest way to do these is to just hit the back button, and it'll save your thing. So if you wanted to change how often you carpool to more frequently, you would go back to carpool and change it to, let's say, you might want to carpool more. I went the wrong way. So 80% of the time instead of 60% of the time. And then it'll save all your other things. So if you just go back and you change one thing and then you go forward, it'll give you a new answer. And you'll click on see details again. And you'll record these new numbers. And then you'll pick your second change and you'll go back and make that change. And then usually the easiest way to do is to do change 1 first and then do both and then go back and undo the first change to get change 2, if that makes sense. If that's too confusing, just go back and do it however you think is easiest. And then you're just going to answer some of these questions. The very last thing is I want you to go through and make a bunch more changes and count how many changes it takes you till you get down to 1 Earth. And if you can't get down to 1 Earth, that's okay. But get as close as you can, and then I want you just to kind of talk about what you had to do to get there. And so if you do those, fill out this whole table and answer all the questions, then you'll have completed the ecological footprint assignment. Remember to save this document, upload it on Moodle, and then you'll be all done. And I hope you learned something about how your lifestyle affects resource use and waste and climate change as part of this exercise. I will redo mine at the same time as you guys do. I do mine every year so that I can get a feel for how it changes over time. And I may do mine as a post-coronavirus world so I can see how being in quarantine and staying at home more has changed my footprint this year. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email or visit my office hours and we can talk about any of those. And we'll also discuss these more in class. So thanks a lot.